Finally, after a long day of doing absolutely nothing, I can play my favorite format. OU. Let me just choose my team and then... Oh no. Oh fuck no. No. Help me, please. Yes, the biggest threat to the most hated playstyle in competitive Pokemon is this fucking fish. Or this crab. Or this fucking guy, I guess. Many people think of Stall as this extremely sweaty playstyle that's only played by people who take the game really seriously and wanna win no matter what. But it's not, it's the second easiest playstyle to play, right after its polar opposite in Hyper Offense, and both of them have a really simple explanation for why they're so simple. Hyper Offense teams come in 3 or 4 flavors: sticky webs, screens, weather, and sometimes trick room, if it's even usable at all. And all of these have a game plan they need to follow. The game plan is always the same: get your screen, trick room, sticky web or weather up, and then get your strong abuser or setup mon in and go ham. And if the opponent has any kind of counter to your gimmick, you lose. This has changed because Gen 9 the setup sweepers are just really strong because of Terra, but you don't really interact with your opponent normally, right? You follow a game plan and you stick to that. Stall is similar, but different. Well, you still don't interact with your opponent normally, don't follow a game plan that you have to stick to at all costs, but you do play very actively instead of proactively. Imagine it like this. This is a match without any of the two extremes. One person is using bulky offense while the other person is using a simple balance team. Even before the match even starts, both of them have to think about what the other guy will lead and what lead of their own covers the most of their opponent's leads. After they have led, they have to think about what moves their opponent is gonna click. Is this Great Tusk a defensive or offensive set? Is it Boots or Rocky Helmet? Is it gonna click knockoff, set, stealth rocks? All of these thoughts are going through these players' heads. They have to figure out what their opponent is gonna do and then figure out how to properly spin that interaction into their direction. It's pretty easy to see. This player has a Peck-a-Round, which hardwalls his other guy's Sama Center. But he has a Garganacl, which does beat the Peck-a-Round. This is a paper, scissors, rock dynamic, right? It keeps the game interesting and makes the game less about raw power and more about positioning and momentum. And the winner is decided by who played their team's strengths the best, who used the momentum the best, or who just got hacked the most, right? But now imagine one of these as a stall team. The stall player, most of the time, has a lead, which is either a Gliscor because it can protect first turn and get up its Toxic Hill without any risk, or some kind of sand setter, like a Hippo or a T-Tar if you're feeling fancy. The stall player just has their lead, while the other player has to think about how their team beats stall. Most of the time it's hazards plus knockoff, but it can also be a nice breaking call. My favorite are Glow King plus Hoopa because I really like how Hoopa plays. And so the non-stall player either leads their Hazardmon or some kind of counter to the obvious stall lead, right? And while the stall player just switched into the Pokemon that was the current threat, not really needing to read their opponent since their Pokemon can stay in and take hits from the threat on the opposing side, the stall player really doesn't have to read their opponent or think about what their opponent might do. The only thing the stall player has to watch out for is knockoff and hazard control. They want their hazards to be up and they want their opponent's hazards to be down. That's why Galarian, Weezing and Corviknight are such staples of stall, because they can get rid of hazards very effectively. This goes on until the stall player either wins without a problem or having to do a hard read, like doing a double switch or staying in on a threat that would normally take you out, predicting your opponent to switch. And if they pull that off, they just go back to their normal gameplay of playing reactively. A stall player really has to do just way less mental gymnastics than the other player. This structure is why most people think of stall as a matchup fit, because if you do have the right counters, like a strong mixed attacker, a mold breaker sweeper, or even just a great breaking core, stall is at a huge disadvantage and almost always loses against a player of the same skill level. But don't be scared, little OU player, there is none of these mons in OU. The best mixed attacker in OU is Iron Valiant, which does not do enough damage to break stall. There is no Pokemon that actually uses mold breaker. The best thing in OU against stall is actually Slowking Galar, since it's tanky enough with Regenerator to wall most stall teams and they can't put out enough damage to kill it. And especially if you have a second Regenerator Pokemon, you can regen cycle to out heal the mediocre damage that stall normally does. But most teams do not want to fit to regen Pokemon, so what do you do if your stall matchup is particularly shit? You go to the bargain bin, you pick the fucking shittest mons ever. If you want a strong mixed attacker, for example, you will find hundreds in the lower tiers that are either held back by their typing, slow speed, abilities that do not do anything, mediocre defensive, or all of the above. And they can't compete with Landorus, T and Tusk. But wouldn't you know, that does not fucking matter against stall, since they are slow as shit, have few real attacks, and as long as you hit hard enough, and that consistently, you can definitely win against stall. So let's take a look at every tier and choose a Pokemon that would make any stall player cry and shit in fear when they see it on team preview. Normally I would group the BLs and the normal tiers together, but because the UUBL mons wouldn't be on that list, let's do them separately. There's actually 2 great stall break options in UUBL, but I'm gonna talk about the one that fits my agenda better. Let's go Hoopa! Fuck him up, girl! I love Hoopa Unbound. It's one of my favorite Pokemon to use in OU, and it's the stall breaker. She has crazy mixed attacking offensive, 160 attack and 170 in special attack, which makes them so high that you don't even need to invest into them to be strong. She also has stab and covered for every single relevant style Pokemon. This girl does 87% to Dondozo. For fuck's sake, she can one-shot Blissey, but even without that, Hoopa is a great mixed attacker, which normally falters cause her abilities are shit, her mediocre typing, as well as her low defenses, combined with her not so fast speed, makes her a U-turn victim, while also constantly getting outsped by mons she would normally check. With stall that doesn't matter. She can freely wreak havoc, stall mons rarely pivot, and if they do it's teleport, chilly reception or flip turn. While Gliscor could use U-turn, it's already longing for movesorts, so nothing is threatening you at all. The background footage shows a team I built around, honestly, a pretty cool Hoopa set. But this Hoopa set breaks the stall matchup perfectly, and I wanted to make it work. This is Bandit Hoopa, probably the second most common set after Scarf. I paired it with 3 pivot mons to get Hoopa into position, because even against stall, Hoopa is the clunkiest Pokemon ever to get into the field. And I do want as much pressure as humanly possible and as much pivots as humanly possible. Around the squad I have a Body Press, Restox, Zamazenta as a late game sweeper. This team worked great against stall, less so against non-stall teams, but it really shows up how good Hoopa is against stall. It's one of the few mons I would actually recommend you use if you want to build a regular team. Most of these picks are really fringe and not worth using, even if they have a phenomenal matchup into stall. Hoopa is though, use her more. You literally had the easiest pick ever. It's my boy Conkeldurr with Terra Normal Facade. And that's literally all you need to know. Terra Normal Facade does so much damage that you can even use it against resists. You don't really need to think about anything else, with the sole exceptions of ghost types of course. But there's really only one guy on stall. That's a ghost type, and he really doesn't wanna be hit with a guts boosted knockoff. Conkeldurr's big problem normally is that Iron Hands just does his job as a bulky AV bot better, because it's literally an upgrade in every facet. But Iron Hands is missing one crucial component. Guts. Yeah, Iron Hand is a pussy. And against stall, it's great that Conkeldurr can switch in and out and keep his attack boost. Big Hands can't do that with his boosting of the energy. Conk just rips through stall teams with Facade, while Iron Hands might be better normally but can't fuck over stall as well, and that's what really matters in life. I put Conkeldurr on this bum-ass rain team that sucked balls, but stall is easy with Conkeldurr. I did lose against HO, but that's not what the video is about now, is it? I reckon for RU, most of you already know who it is. It's one of the most popular stall breakers ever. It's the coolest one of them all. It's fucking Crawdaunt. Adaptability, choice band, boosted stab, crab hammer hits so hard. This guy just does a lot of damage. And if you can't break it, you can knock it off. His multipliers are just really high, and even in a stall matchup, he can do shit, because he gets priority. Just Aqua Jet their mon to do good damage. He does overlap with Hammerrod. So if you want to do a hazard stack, you'd have to pick another Pokemon to stack your spikes, like Ting Lu. But it works so great as a breaker that you could even put it on a normal team and just use it to kill extremely bulky threats or revenge kill with Aqua Jet. It works fine I guess, but you really feel the lack of stats on this guy. Like bro, I had to decide between him and Haxorus, and both of them just die to resisted hits sometimes. Haxorus has DD to make up for it, right? But it's so shit at using it, oh my fucking god. You can literally not use it at all. In OU, not even against stall. Fucking Gliscor 2-shots it. Crawdaunt doesn't need setup at least. That's why he's better and that's why he is in this list. He just starts hitting shit hard or removing items. I can see why stall and bulky teams are so good in RU if these guys are the ones to stop it. Crawdaunt really hits hard, it does remove items. It would be great on hazard stack, but you do have the Hammerrod problem. So I put it on this basic ass balance team with a pivot Ogerpon Hearthstone and a support Latias, and it worked fine against everything else, especially since Crawdaunt loves the power Latias spreads, but against Ball it prospers. Like, yeah, no shit, that's the point of the team. But it's really good against stall. It does a lot of damage to most of the stall staples. It can even two-shot Corviknight and outspeed it, which is really cool. I use the band setup with Crab Hammer, Close Combat, Aqua Jet and Knockoff, but you don't never really click Close Combat, because why would you? Everything else hits harder. Aqua Jet is nice for the non-stall matchup. I think this guy is a great stall breaker. And use on a real tier. For the PU tier, let's choose something really crazy and different and cool. It's not a breaker this time, it can still completely invalidate stall, but it requires more thought than just spamming D-dance or clicking one big move that fucks over the stall guy. It's the myth, the man, the legend, Amoonguss. He's here from VGC to completely destroy his bulky friends in the stall community. Amoonguss is so good as a stall counter, simply because the poison type with Regenerator that's not weak to either Earthquake or Knockoff, which means you can consistently switch into threats, force them to either switch or do something about you. And if they're running Conkeldurr, you can even Toxic them. The only real thing they can do against this is constantly go into their Galarian Wheezing to disable your regen healing, but even that's really risky for them because you can use this with either Stomping Tantrum or Sludge Bomb to do a good amount of damage. I also personally like Defense Curl since it makes you able to 1v1 Body Press Corviknight and PP stall other stall staples. I build a simple grassy terrain offense team around it, which makes it even better into Gliscor. And with Soul Cured support from Garg, you can even win against the Wheezing. It's a worse Glowbro in every other matchup though, which is kinda unfortunate, but hey, it does work great against stall. But you know who works the best against stall? Yes, the best stall breaker is in ZU. The best stall breaker is also a Gen 9 Pokemon. The best stall breaker is a fish. The best stall breaker is Veluza. Yes, the Gen 9 fish is on both ends of the stall spectrum. This funny fish not only hunts you down, but also completely fries stall. Veluza is a psychic water type with mediocre stats everywhere, so why would this be extremely broken into stall? Simple, it has Fillet Away, a move that boosts your attack, special attack and speed by 2, only for the cost of 50% health, but that's not all. It also has Recover, so it can easily heal back to full. To use Fillet Away, again, many of you would say it would still lose to all the unaware Pokemon since they ignore the boosts Veluza accumulates, but no. Veluza for some reason can break the mold, which makes him able to break even the fattest Dondozo ever. But there is fucking more about Veluza. It also gets stored power, stab store power at that. See, every time you use Fillet Away, you're not only setting up your attacking stat, no, you also boost your stored power damage. And since you're normally a physical attacker, you can even beat Terra Dark Blizzy with a physical water type move. The only thing that could stop you is a dark type with Water Absorb, which is not run on any other stall Pokemon. So Veluza, this fucking ZU fish, breaks the most hated playstyle competitively in 2. Against everything else it sucks though, because you do need to live at least 3 turns to use Fillet Away, heal, use Fillet Away again, and then you can attack. Also every other playstyle carries a bunch of priority moves, to which you just completely fold. But if you know your opponent is 100% gonna play stall, right? You can use Veluza to always win that matchup. There's no Pokemon in the stall lineup that does enough damage to kill Veluza before it heals up again. The only thing that comes even close is Knockoff from Gliscor, but like, that just dies to Veluza. And just don't set up in front of Gliscor, you can kill him after 1 boost. I put this fish on this nice pivot team to soften up the opponents before going in with Veluza. Also, I forgot to give it a physical water type move, but just imagine I had a physical water type move. You would pick a physical water type move. It works very well, you just put it on the team, soften up the stall player a bit, and then set up in front of one of their Pokemon that can absolutely not touch you. You might even want to set up in front of Galarian Wheezing, because this normally cannot hurt you, it can only burn you, and since you're primarily a special attacker, and against Blizzy you always win, because Blizzy cannot two-shot you and you have Recover, so a burn really doesn't matter. So you just set up and go ham. You click stored power like 10 times and then you win. This fish is the best stall counter in the game. It just sucks, it's really bad everywhere else. This fish destroys hatred, this fish destroys the other fish, this fish can win despite the odds that are against it. This fish proved that being born with bad stats, bad condition or a bad outlook is not something that should stop you. This fish beats stall.